What's up, everyone? Welcome to BigT Outdoors. Today, we're going to be going over my top 3 picks for everyday carry pistols. Welcome back to BigT Outdoors, everyone. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, make sure you do so in the corner now. You're going to help us bring better videos to the future. Alright, today I'm going to be talking about my top 3 picks for everyday carry pistols. And before we go any farther, I just want to let everyone know all of these pistols have been safety checked. Mags are empty. They are all cleared. So just want to clear that up before we get started, that we do clear and safety check every pistol, every rifle before we do any videos. So let's get started with the top 3 picks. So by no means are these the best pistol out there on the market for every person. These are just my opinions from the specs that I've looked at, the usage of these pistols over time. These are the ones that I felt, for me personally, were the best, and I've known a lot of people who've used these similar pistols that have had a lot of good luck with them, and they felt very comfortable. Every person is going to be a little bit different on the features that they like and what is comfortable to them. So don't take this as you've just gone out and bought a pistol and it's not one of these 3. Is it not the top best? Absolutely does not mean that. Get what's comfortable for you and easy for you to use. That is what's going to be the best pistol for you. But I'll show you what I like about these 3 pistols that make them one of my everyday carries every single day. Alright, let's start off with the Sig 938. This is the Sig P938. One of the reasons I really love this pistol is because of its size. It is what I consider a pocket pistol, and that is actually how I carry this when I do carry it. I carry it in a pocket, inside the front pocket holster. What's nice about that is if I go somewhere and maybe I don't want to have an inside the waistband, or I'm just wearing some cargo shorts with no belt and I don't really have anywhere to clip a holster to, or maybe I'm just going somewhere where I want to tuck in a shirt and I don't want to have a printing real bad, I'll just throw this in my front pocket because you can't tell it's there, but it's still a 9mm, so I don't have to worry. I prefer 9mm over everything. Not going to argue calibers here, just my preference. And it makes a really nice pistol for that because it hides really well, and it's a super accurate and really reliable pistol. You'll come to find that I'm a pretty big fan of Sig pistols, and you'll come to find I'm not a huge fan of Glock pistols. Even though that just made my subscriber count go down, that's okay. It's just my opinion. I'm just not a fan of Glocks. Not that they're not a great gun. If you own a Glock, you'll probably find that they're absolutely reliable and they're some of the toughest guns they make. But I just don't care for them. I don't like their ergonomics. That being said, let's get into some of the details on why I like the 938. Now, like I said, this is a 9mm version. They do make it in 380 also. You'll see that it's got a very thin profile to it, and it's not a very big gun. Not much bigger than my hand. What makes that nice is it's easy to conceal, but I have put the 1+ magazine in these, so I do have 7 rounds, and what I like about that is it gives me a place to put my pinky, so I can get a full grip on this gun, even with my pinky. I don't tend to like guns that I can't get my pinky on. I've got a couple revolvers that I'll carry in a pinch that are like that. Standardly, if I can't get my pinky on there, I usually don't carry it because I don't really care for it. If you're used to a 1911, it's a miniature 1911. Everything's exactly the same. It's got an ambidextrous safety on it, so whether you're right or left-handed, you can actuate your safety on it. What I really like about this, you can manipulate the slide with the safety on. That's something that you don't find on a lot of your 1911s and stuff. You can actually still keep the safety on and manipulate your slide. so you don't have to be taking your safety off every time you want to rack a round out of it, anything like that. I kind of like that. I would always carry this thing cocked and locked, one in a chamber. I don't believe in not carrying one in a chamber. This is actually the Rosewood and Engraved Edition. I like things that are unique. That's pretty well all there was to it. The Extreme Edition, and they have so many different editions of these. There's a lot of them that I really like, but once I saw the Engraved Edition, it just kind of stuck with me, so that's what I went with. Most of the 938s, unless it's a bone stock one, will come with Sig's night lights on it. Or I'm sorry, night sights. I very rarely carry a gun, everyday carry, that doesn't have some type of tritium sight on it. Because at night, I want to pull it up and I want to see 3 dots, even if it's pitch black. And I know a lot of people argue if it's pitch black, you shouldn't be shooting, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but when I pull up my gun and it's almost dark out, I can see these 3 dots. That's what I like. Again, this gun came with the flush mag, so if you're trying to conceal even more, you can put the flush mag back in this. Like I said, the only thing I didn't like about it was I couldn't get my pinky on the gun, so I went ahead and got the one with the extension on it. But you can run the flush mag if you'd like. Another nice thing about this gun, the trigger is really, really nice in this. You'll notice a little bit of take up, very, very little there. And bang. So you get a 1911 style trigger. You know what I mean? It's going to go fairly crisp. I really like that. It does have, like I say, a manual safety on it, which doesn't bother me. A lot of people do not like a manual safety on everyday carry gun. That's personal preference. But I really like the trigger in this gun. And I have put hundreds and hundreds of rounds to this thing. It's probably in the thousands of rounds through this gun. I've never had a malfunction other than a ammunition malfunction of it strike the primer, did not go off. I actually tried it again, and I tried it in another 9mm, and it would not fire. So nothing with the gun. It was just an ammunition malfunction. But I've never had a malfunction with this gun, and I would take this thing from being in my pocket for weeks on end with never being clean, lint all over it, take it out and fire it right out of my pocket, and it would fire reliably every time. And for as small as this gun is, it was really surprisingly accurate. Now, we're not talking accuracy out to 50 yards by no means, but at 12 to 14 yards, it was surprisingly accurate. So it's been one of my favorites for a long time. I've carried this thing a bunch, and it has done me well. Thank God I've never actually had to use it other than on a coyote once, but we'll consider that still not having to use it for self-defense purposes. But it has been a very, very reliable gun and a very accurate gun. And I think that's why it's one of my top picks, is because of the compact size, the reliability, the accuracy, the ease of use. Anybody that's used to a 1911 can use it. And it's so versatile because women can carry it. My wife carries something very similar because she can stick it in her pocket with a pocket holster. So it's a very versatile gun for different types of carry. You know, if you're wearing a suit, anything like that, this will work out for you. So that is my Sig P938. Next, we'll move to my Beretta PX4 Storm, and this is the Compact. The nice thing I like about this Beretta, I've shot a lot of Berettas, shotguns, and they've always been very reliable. You know, Beretta's had a long history in the military. They make some really reliable firearms. And I found the same out with the PX4 Storm. It's a very, very reliable gun. But for somebody who is safety conscious, maybe, you know, you carry in areas where you don't want something that doesn't have a safety or isn't completely safe, this is the pistol for you. I don't necessarily say beginner shooters, because this one is something that if you don't if you don't know the workings of guns quick, in a tough situation, this could get you in a little bit of trouble. So it's for somebody who's definitely not new to shooting, because this has a decocker and it is a double single action. What I mean by that is, as it sits right now, safety is on. Again, ambidextrous safety, which is nice. I like that. And this gun is full ambidextrous. So your slide catch and your safety are on both sides. Anyway, we're on safe right now. We take it off safe. I have a long first trigger pull. Notice it will cock my hammer for me. And then bang. My double action. Then you can cock this back. You can have it single action. The nice thing about the single action is you have a little bit of take up and you hit a wall. Once you hit that wall, that trigger pull is super crisp. And that's what I really like about this gun. But let's say you have it cocked and you don't feel safe running it without a safety. And on this gun here, being that it's not striker fired and it's got a pretty easy trigger pull, I usually did not run this cocked. But when you put it on safe, it will decock it for you and it will disconnect the safety mechanism. Or I'm sorry, it will disconnect the trigger mechanism. So what's nice about that is, if this gun is on safe and you have it decocked, there's absolutely no way that pulling the trigger will do anything. So for somebody who's safety cautious, maybe you don't want to have this thing loaded and cocked and ready to go all the time, this is really nice because it can't go off accidentally. But let's say that you kind of like how Glocks and Sigs, you don't have to worry about a safety. You basically just pull the trigger and go. Take this thing off safety, you now have a double action that is basically like a striker fire. You have a really long, hard trigger pull, but you don't have to worry about it accidentally going off. That's a good bit of... There's a lot of trigger pull here before you get anywhere near this gun going off. So you don't have to worry about it accidentally going off. And that was most of the time the way I ran this gun. I would run it safety off, decocked. That way my first round was a long, hard pull. After it cycles, you shoot the first round, it cycles. It's going to be single action from then on out until you run out. Again, the nice thing about that is it is a very crisp, minimal movement pull. Your reset when you shoot that, you will pull here, reset's pretty short, click. So you have a very small reset to this gun, and it was always very accurate for me. I could hold very, very tight groups with this, clear out to about 20 yards. We're talking softball size at 20 yards, at a decent pace with just plain jacketed hollow point ammunition, which for me, that's plenty good enough for a self-defense weapon. It does have a flush magazine to it, but it is a 15+1, so you're going to a double stack capacity. Obviously, this one was an inside the waistband carry. I did not carry this pocket or anything like that. This is definitely going to be a inside or outside the waistband carry. It's pretty decent size, mid-size pistol. But that's what I've really liked about this gun. Another thing that is particular, and this is the only gun I've ever seen this on. There may be some others out there. I've never seen them. It's hard to see. I don't know if I'll be able to get it on camera here. When the slide comes back, you'll actually notice the barrel rotates, and you can just barely see it rotating right there. What that does is that barrel rotates as your slide comes back on recoil. It will bring your feed ramp into place for you, but what it also does is it mitigates recoil because it is actually taking force off the slide to turn that barrel sideways. And the recoil in this thing is very, very minimal. And I feel I can keep on target way better with this than I can almost any of my other pistols. That was why I carried this for a long, long time. Does it have night sights? No, but it's got the white dots. I have looked multiple times when putting night sights on this. Most of the ones I found are very expensive, so I never really did put night sights on this, although I really wanted to. But that's why it's been one of my favorites. Easy to tear down, easy to clean, pretty easy to manipulate for the most part. It's not too bad once you get used to everything, but it's a very, very safe pistol and a very accurate pistol. So that is my Beretta PX4 Storm, and that is my second choice. Now, for my number one gun, and this is the gun that I currently carry every day, and it is probably one of my favorite pistols that I own, and that is the Sig P320. Now, up until I got my Sig 320, I have been very, very against modifying a everyday carry gun. And what'll be my modifies, you know, a lot of guys will add, you know, and here we go, we're going to hit the Glock guys again. But a lot of guys will add different slides, different optics, different barrels, just all this kind of stuff. And the way I feel about it is, the more you change and put aftermarket, you make less reliability in my eyes. Now, a lot of guys will tell you, hey, those barrels, those slides, all that are just as, you know, accurate and just as, you know, reliable as factory. Okay, but you know what? I trust what comes on the gun. What that gun manufacturer makes with that gun, I trust it. An aftermarket company, not that I don't trust them, but do I trust them with my life? Not really. So I've always kind of been against, you know, altering everyday carry guns. With that said, I did alter this gun a little bit, but most of what I added to this gun functionality-wise is Sig OEM parts. So I didn't go buy an aftermarket parts and put in this gun, which, you know, really the only thing I changed functionality-wise is we did put a flat trigger in it and we changed the lower grip module. Both of those actually come on either the X Carry or the M17s, some of the different models of the 320. Those come with this already stock. So I felt pretty comfortable that these would do the job without any issue. With that being said, if some of you know and some of you don't know, the 320 is very, very modular, just kind of like a Glock. You can change out slides, barrels, lowers, trigger assemblies, basically anything you want very, very easily. So this gun started as a P320 RX Compact, which the RX means that it comes with the Sig Romeo optics on it, and it is the compact version, but it had the standard lower grip module and standard trigger in it, which my trigger pull originally was 6.5 pounds, which I don't disagree with for an everyday carry gun. It was fine for me. It shot very well. I did change to the flat trigger that comes in most of the X Carry guns. The X series guns basically all have it. Some of the M17s, that the kind of thing, all have the flat blade trigger. I switched to the flat blade. It dropped it down to 5.5 pounds. Still enough that I feel very confident in carrying it, but a little bit lighter, and I like the flat trigger a lot better than I do the curved trigger. I feel I'm a little bit more accurate with it. And then I swapped to the X Series lower grip module. If some of you don't know, the X Series grip module is going to get you a little bit more undercut here on your trigger guard. It's also going to give you a little bit deeper beaver tail here and a little bit farther out on your beaver tail. It's going to contour completely differently down the back of the gun. You'll notice that this is pretty flat down the sides. The standard one kind of has a roll to it. It's kind of rounded. And I didn't really care for that. I like this one a lot better. It fits me. I feel it fits a lot nicer in my hand. So that was really, functionality-wise, those are really the only two things I changed on this gun. And like I said, that is an OEM Sig trigger, and this is an OEM Sig lower. Barrel, slide, all internals are all OEM, what I bought with this gun. The optic is OEM. It came pre-mounted, which we'll get into that here in just a second. The only other thing I did change is I put the Olight Mini Valkyrie 2 on this. Very, very nice light. I really like it. This is the first time I have ever carried a weapons light for everyday carry. Before, most of the lights were just too big for my taste. I just don't like a huge light sticking off there. And before, I really never cared for a light on an everyday carry weapon anyway. The more I started researching and watching guys on YouTube doing reviews on everyday carry guns that had lights on them, the more I sat and thought about it, and I thought, you know what? I don't think it'd be too bad of a thing to have. And the more I've carried with it, the more I can tell you that's true. It's not a bad thing to have. It really makes it nice if you're in a situation where, you know, pulling a trigger on this gun may alter not only your life but someone else's. You want to be sure when you pull the trigger that you wanted to pull the trigger. I never want to have any doubt if I squeeze the trigger, you know, in a situation that I meant to. If I have to have a light on there and I click a light on and that could alter my decision on whether I needed to pull the trigger or not, why not have it? If it's going to give me an advantage in a situation that I may not have to pull the trigger if I don't have to, why not? Even if it's going to give me in a situation where I do have to use my weapon, if it's going to give me an advantage, why not? Works well for me. I like it. It does not add any bulk to this gun. It is so small, so compact. That's why I chose it. It is super bright. It's very easy to manipulate. I can either manipulate it with my trigger finger if I'm using one hand, or if I have my support hand up, I can hit it with my thumb as I come up. What's nice about the Mini Valkyrie 2 is it will fit just about any weapon. Flip my latch on this side and you'll notice I can pull the light off of the mount. What's cool about that is you can attach this mount to just about any gun with a Picatinny rail, and it comes with two different tabs for the inside for different rail sizes. We snap that on. Put it back on the right one here. We snap that on, and then you can slide your light in. Now, does not matter how far your rail is from your trigger guard, I can adjust this one click at a time and fasten it down. So I can run this all the way back to where it's tight against my trigger guard. It's right next to my finger, and lock it down. And it comes on and off that easy. The other thing that's nice is the base is magnetic rechargeable. So all I have to do to recharge this is stick the base to it, or stick the recharging base to the bottom of this gun, or bottom of the light, and it recharges. I don't have to take it off the gun. If I want to, I can. They even make some holsters out there now that have a spot to where you can put your recharging base on without even unholstering the weapon, which I think is really cool. So that's some options you have. The other thing that I did add on my magazine base, I added an aluminum base from UTG Pro. I put it on this and my spare mag. I really like them. They have held up pretty well. I haven't beat these ones a whole lot yet. We will be putting these to the test. But I definitely slam them off the tables at the gun range all the time. Dropping mags, slamming mags down. You know, I'm rough with them. And there's not a scratch on this thing. Plus, I everyday carry this. There's not a scratch on it. Doesn't add very much weight at all, if anything, really. It does add a little bit of extra to the bottom, but I kind of like it. For me, it gave me an easier purchase on my spare mag that I carry. I can grab a hold of it a little bit easier coming out of my mag carrier, and it gives a little bit of protection to the base plate. Not to mention, it just looks really freaking cool on my gun. But it does give me a little bit extra place to put my pinky. You'll notice that this gun, I could fit it on there no problem without it before, but I can have a little bit looser grip. I don't have to have my fingers smashed together to get a full purchase on there. So that's why I went with them, is because that way I don't have to worry about beating up my standard bases or anything. And it has worked really well. I'll probably be actually ordering a few more of those. So let's get into a little bit of optics on everyday carry. Another reason I bought this gun, and I bought this for the sole purpose of everyday carry. Up until this, I was completely against optics on everyday carry guns. Now, after having this and having one I can co-witness with, I love them. This does have the motion technology where it will kick on at any motion. It pretty well stays on during the day when I'm walking around, but that's okay. I just change out the batteries about once a week on it. And I really like it. It did take probably 200 to 300 rounds to get used to finding that dot as soon as you unholster this gun and get on target, finding that dot. But the more and more I use it, I find it almost easier than trying to get my sights lined and everything. Once you get used to using a red dot, it becomes pretty simple. For a lot of people, they get discerned because they start using a red dot and they put a mag or two through it and, oh man, this is pain. It's okay. Keep pushing through it, keep using it, get used to it, and you'll start loving it. Now, this is my personal opinion. You can do what you choose, but I am a firm believer I will never carry a gun with a red dot optic on it unless I can co-witness. Do I have some that I can't co-witness with? Yes, but I don't carry them. They're just for sport, for play. I will not carry one that I can't co-witness. The reason I don't, this red dot is an electronic device. Electronic devices do what? They fail. Does every single one fail? No, but electronic devices can fail. Manual iron sights, unless you do something really wrong, pretty much can't fail. So if I ever pull this gun out and my optic doesn't come up, guess what? I've still got 3 dots right there I can line up and bang. So that is the main reason I will never run one without it. This does have the Sig night sights on this, so they are glow in the dark also, which is nice. What's really cool is in the dark when you pull this up, the first thing you're going to see is that red dot is very prominent, but you're going to see your other sights, and it gives you that confidence that you have everything in picture. And then obviously I can flip my light on, and I know I've got everything in picture because I can see it. But it's become really nice. I like shooting with an optic now, and I'm going to be honest with you, it's going to be hard for me to everyday carry anything from this point on without an optic on it. So I suggest giving it a try. Now, one thing that's nice about the 320, striker fired, no safety. I wasn't a huge fan of that up until recently, but I really started liking this. The trigger on it is pretty nice. I'm not going to complain on it. I will complain about a Glock trigger every day. I'm a whiny little baby, and I hate Glocks. I cannot stand a Glock trigger for anything. This trigger here is smooth. Does it have a lot of play in it? Yeah, but it's smooth and it breaks pretty nice once it hits. I can tell you right now, I had a Glock once and I sold it because I hated it. I could not, there'd be no way I could just use the very, very tip of my finger, not even on the blade all the way, and go like that. That trigger was atrocious. So it's a very accurate gun because I feel that the trigger pull is smooth. It fits me comfortably, and every Sig I've ever owned has been very, very accurate right out of the box. This thing at about 10 yards will punch 5-round groups in the size of a golf ball, with and without the optic on. I can do that iron sights also. So very, very accurate. I have, at this point, I've only been carrying this gun for probably over a month or so. At this point, I have probably over 1,000 rounds through this gun and have had 0 malfunctions. It was accurate right out of the box. It's been very reliable for me. Tear down on it is nice, and what I like is it's super modular. So I can take everything all apart on this and change anything out that I want. Like I did with my trigger and my lower, I can switch my lower back. So I think it's really nice that way. You can customize your gun the way you want. Like I said, I don't really condone doing a whole lot of aftermarkets for everyday carry, but you can customize it the way you want. And like I said, they're a super reliable gun, a super accurate gun, and I can't say enough good things about it. So that is why it is my #1 pick for everyday carry. So that's pretty much it, guys. We're going to cover on another episode some of the different holsters I use for these guns so that you can kind of see some of my different carry options. I'm actually making holsters now, Kydex holsters. I made the holster that I carry this in every day and my spare mag for it. So I made those. Hopefully, once we get the shop a little more organized, we can bring you along, show you some videos on how we make the holsters. If you have any ideas on other videos you'd like to see us make, we'll be doing some shooting each of these guns. We'll probably do an independent video with each gun here soon, showing you every feature and showing you physical shooting of each of these guns independently. But if there's anything you guys would like to see, just make sure you drop it in the comments below. Alright everyone, thanks for joining us today. We hope you see you back soon. And remember, make sure you like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.